Hi there, hope you're doing well. It's finally here, the highly anticipated video of the most expensive grinder that we've ever tested so far. It's the Titus grinder. This is hand-built, custom-made grinder. For a decade, only around 120 grinders have been built around the world. So it's really unique video, and personally, we wanted to invest our money in getting a grinder that we personally wanted to see a review of and we couldn't find. We have been testing it for around 6 months, so we tried to share everything that we found out so far with you. Before starting the video, huge shout out to iCoffee Coffee Accessories. They are the sponsor of today's video. They have a wide range of coffee accessories and they've sent us most of them to test along the Titus grinder. And the visitor roaster of today's video, Ronten Coffee Roasters. This is the second time we're having them as visitor roaster. They've sent us a wide range of dark roast, medium roast and relatively light roast to test all different tasting profiles. So without further ado, let's start with the grinder. So what makes the Titus this expensive? What makes it unique? We're gonna start diving from the details of each section, but before speaking about the build quality, we have to speak about the heart of this grinder, which is its burrs. So basically, as you know, there are conical burrs and there are flat burrs. With the Titus, they implement burrs from an Italian company called DRM. They are basically hybrid burrs. You have on the top, the upper side of a conical burr, stick to it a flat burr, and from the bottom you also have flat burr with a cone burr inside of it. So it's kind of aimed to give you the best of two worlds, the clarity, the cleanness of a flat burrs, and at the same time the body, the thick creamy body, the chocolatey tasting notes of conical burrs. So initially there's a company called VersaLab. They were the first company to implement this design with these burrs. However, the team at Titus, they wanted to take that grinder and elevate it to a whole new level, to custom made grinder to fix all the issues they found with it and to build it by hand, to customize for each person's order. So basically no grinder like other, the panel, the coating that we will be speaking about, but we want to show you the difference with VersaLab and speak what makes the Titus unique grinder here. So let's start from the back. So as you can notice here, all the side panels, they are machinely fixed to the perfection. So we are speaking here like really high attention to details. Each panel has to sit extremely flat, no gaps between the panels. That's the kind of the craftsmanship that they are aiming at with the Titus. Up to the screws themselves, as you can see here, they are red speed coated. Red speed is a mix of titanium and I think carbon moleculars to create this very resistant layer. It has an antimicrobial surface features and at the same time it has the lotus effect. So basically it's super easy to wipe and clean. It's a fingerprint magnet, but it's super easy to wipe and clean. It's called the lotus effect. The panels, they are nickel plated. From here you have USB port for customizing the screen, but they don't advise you to do that. You have protection fuse and you have the power cable. Now relatively speaking, this is extremely strong and thick power cable. It's waterproof and this grinder weighs around 17-18 kilograms and you can literally lift the grinder from the cable. Don't do that, but just to speak how strong it is, you can really lift it from the cable. But of course, don't do that once again. Here from the side, you have cool blue color screen. We know one friend recommended that he wished if it was colored, but it has something, the grinder, that fits the vibe. Maybe it was colored, it would feel not elegant, let's say. We personally love this blue color, simplicity at its peak, let's say. So it will show you the voltage, the ampere and the watts. You can control them with a knob to have adjustable RPM with the grinder. Above the screen you have the on-off switch, also blue light. And once you turn it on, you have the small knob from the back to control the RPM. So Titus do provide you with a table saying at which voltage, which RPM you'll be expecting, basically rotation per minute. And the sweet spot is around 5.5 to 6.5. This was like the medium average sweet spot for consistent results. Too fast or too slow, the results were not consistent. So this is kind of the sweet spot, but it's good to know like you can ramp up the RPM and go the RPM really low. Coming from the front, so as we spoke that the burrs are the heart of the grinder, the other very important point is adjusting the grind mechanism. You want the grind mechanism to be easy to adjust, super reliable and stable, and at the same time to ensure that the alignment of the burrs is extremely accurate. Due to the nature of these burrs and their design, Titus team found out that just having a locking nut here on the side, tightening it will slightly on a micron level push the burrs inside, basically creating misalignment, and their approach led them to having patented design with the grind adjustment itself. So basically it's all about this piece corner. It's machined from one single block, and inside the thread you have a kind of a clamp mechanism. So basically when you release this knob, the thread itself releases and allow you to maneuver the grinding dial. Once you are done, you will clamp up this thread, and this clamp mechanism will tighten this thread inside of each other, ensuring that the grinding dial is stable in its place, but at the same time it did not go right or left. It's centralized, it's stable, the alignment is there, it's perfect. No compromises are being made on the alignment itself. And that's also super important when it comes to grinders, having perfectly aligned burrs. As for the knob itself, you have this clamp mechanism, or you have a small knob that you can rotate. Both designs are offered by Titus, but for us, we like this similar to bicycles clamps. It's easy, enjoyable to use, and you have a cool touch from the side rubber to prevent it scratching the surface. The grinding dial itself, it's very reliable, accurate. Espresso range for us, we get around number 90, and this tells you how fine you can still go. Like if you are getting espresso at 90, you can go 70, 60, 50, even 10. So you really have all the wide, fine range from Turkish coffee up to filter coffee. From top here, you have a cover to the funnel to ensure no popcorn might happen. Rarely you might get some shards of coffee bean, like after maybe 4 or 5 days of using it, you might find few small shards of coffee beans laying around your coffee setup, but it's, I would say, 98, 99 efficient. So all the coffee beans that goes in there, it will stay there. Coming to the central axle itself, the quality and the material of the metal is titanium, and it's titanium grade 4. So this is supposed to be super accurate, reliable, tough. And when custom making grinder, where budget is no an issue, here Titus team are using the bearing of Ducati motorcycles, that level of quality that they wanted to include here. And the mechanism of inserting the central axle inside the bearing is really impressive. They heat up the bearing itself and they freeze the central axle. One part is expanded, the other is being shrunk, and they insert them together. After they reach room temperature, the fit will be extremely tight. And from the bottom, you have the portafilter fork. So how you can use this, you can either use a blind shaker and insert it to hold itself. The one from iCopy works perfectly fine, but we found out like if you leave some space, some static electricity might happen, so it's better to adjust the height of the fork to ensure that the blind shaker is attached. It's very tight fit to the funnel itself. Or you can use the portafilter with dosing funnel or without dosing funnel. Here you can, as we mentioned, adjust the fork. It will lift the portafilter up to the funnel, or you can put the magnetic funnel inside the portafilter. This is generally the way that we like using it. So as this grinder was developed 10 years ago, the main approach before discovering RDT, basically spraying your coffee beans with water to eliminate the static electricity. Static electricity was main disadvantage of single dose coffee grinders, especially with this full metal build quality. So a Titus team came up with an idea is having 4 metal wires along the base next to the burrs, and these 4 metal wires have a very tight fit with the wiper. So the wiper is attached to the central axle. It will be rotating with the central axle, and the four static wires are stuck to this base. So this wiper will be coming next to them in a very close range. We took that in slow motion to illustrate this, and this will eliminate any kind of static electricity. Retention is super low in this grinder, but this needs to be checked after a while. So out of the box, the inner walls of the funnel will be really clean, and you have to wait until some coffee passed through them, oil the surfaces covered with coffee oils. So after, I would say, like 2 or 3 kilograms, few months of use, you will have maybe 0.1, rarely 0.2 grams of retention. So right now I'm gonna take out this back panel and show you the motor itself and speak about it. So as you can see here, even the screws are red speed coated, which speaks about the level of customizations that you have with these grinders. So now trying to take the back panel out, but as you can see, it sits so flat, it's even tough to have an edge to grip it. But if we squeeze it from this side, yep, we are able to take it out. And here we go. This is the back panel. Once we removed it, you can see the thickness of these walls, this chunk of steel, and the motor inside. So these motors are made in China, but they are made by a super famous company that produced motors for a mega yacht, one of the largest yachts in the world. So it's safe to say that this company knows what they are doing, and the quality of their motors stand out. So for Titus teams, they've tested multiple motors and they were extremely satisfied with the quality of these ones. So this is what's running this beast. So as you can see here from the back, it's full of fingerprints, but this is how easy it is to clean. So with a cloth, Let's give it a small wipe here. And shiny as new. So let's go to the top. We took out the top red speed piece. Well, yeah, this is gonna be a heavy one. So here you can see the belt from the motor from the top. This is the central axle from the motor and the central shaft of the burrs. So the motor will be rotating on the belt, sending the power through the gears to the grinder itself. And we're gonna turn it on. You can see the motor. Let's go super slow RPM. And this is really slow RPM. That's how slow you can control the RPM. Of course, at this speed, it's not realistically to grind coffee beans, and the motor will not work because you need reasonable speed. But it's good to know that you have this amount of level of speed. We go low, high. Yeah. Well, let's put the cover back on. Now let's show you from the bottom the rubber legs to stabilize the grinder. They are extremely thick, reliable, efficient of stabilizing it. You can see the thickness of them, so you will never have any issues of stabilizing the grinder. You can literally punch it and it won't shake. An important point to mention about the grind adjustment clamps. So basically, if you forget to lock the clamp of the grind adjustment mechanism and you turn the grinder on, then you pour your coffee beans, this will lead to the grind adjustment dial moving in, moving out. But nonetheless, they studied this and they anticipated, in the case some people might forget, they ensured that the thread is reversed. Basically, when you throw your coffee beans, burrs will not be going finer to jam up to the point that they got stuck inside each other. They will go coarser up to the point that ground coffee will go out very fast because they are at the coarsest setting. So basically it's reversed thread. That's super smart from Titus team. Now let's speak about taste wise and the performance in coffee in the end, because many people, that's what they want to hear about. So let's start with dark roast. With dark roast, this grinder really gives you something super unique and super special with its hybrid burrs. So basically you'll be getting these chocolatey, creamy, thicky espresso shots that many people want from conical burrs, but at the same time you are able to enjoy that separation of tasting notes. If it's not extremely dark, like there's some nuttiness, some walnut, some almond tasting notes, you are able to separate them due to the fact that you have flat burrs. When it came to medium roast, what we noticed that generally speaking, because dark roast are easy to extract, a lot of creamas coming out. When it came to medium roasted coffee beans, having them next to 64 multi-purpose SSP burrs or 98mm flat burrs, like those are super clean and crisp, along conical burrs, it's really again the sweet spot. You are still able to enjoy separation and tasting notes at the same time, the chocolatey, the body, the creaminess of conical burrs. So, and when it came to medium roast, we're very happy with taste wise, very happy with results. Espresso shots were smooth, easy to drink. Rarely you get harsh espresso shots, and the body, it's almost chewable body, gummy body, if you may describe it that way. And I would say the margin of error, having error when it came to medium, medium light, and dark roast in general, this wide range of roasting profile, the margin of having bad espresso shot is really low. It's consistent, easy to dial in, reliable. We know that if this coffee tends to prefer finer grind adjustment mechanism, then we go 90, 85. If it tends to be in the midpoint, 90 or 95. So the grind range is super small, reliable, repeatable, consistent, and it's enough to achieve espresso extraction difference between 2 to 3 seconds if you slightly move it. If you keep it at the same grind adjustment mechanism, you'll get the same extraction time, maybe difference 1 second, sometimes 2 seconds. That's it. Now when it came to super light roasted coffee beans, generally speaking, super light roasted coffee beans, some might argue it's undeveloped or under roasted coffee beans basically, and it's very tricky to enjoy separation, to let's say tame the acidity, the harsh acidity, to tame it when it came to espresso extraction. With the Titus, it was tough beat next to 98mm flat burrs, which we think are the best burrs for light roasted coffee beans. So we tried super light roasted coffee beans with the Titus. We enjoyed the shot, it was smooth, but we still felt like the acidity, it's more tame than what we want. It's not juicy acidity. Tasting notes are kind of muted with the creamy body. So when we had it next to 98mm burrs, you feel that 98mm burrs, they are still able to highlight that clarity, the tasting note separation, only when it came to super light roasted coffee beans. So it's safe to say, like with the Titus, it fits all the tasting preference. You're really getting something super unique taste wise, reliable, repeatable, consistent. But if your priority number one is extremely light roasted coffee beans, this grinder might not be for you. Or let's say, like, just knowing that this grinder will not outperform your 98mm flat burrs. So from user-friendly approach, it's super easy to use. You just put your dosing funnel. If you don't want to use it, don't use it, but it's much easier. Insert the portafilter. You can use your single dose coffee tubes, those one from iCoffee, or you can just dose with any random piece. You can pour them right in, or you can use your hand. For us, we feel like it's the connection is stronger when we just put our coffee dose in the hand, come to the side, pour them slowly. They go slowly right in. So what we like to do is to turn the grinder on and off a few times to ensure any shards, particles are out. Then, as you can see here, the ground coffee particles, they are fluffy. No need to do anything. Super fluffy due to the static wipers. Or you can use this cool automatic WDT tool from iCoffee. Then you have many tampers from iCoffee, but we really like this one, the transparent one with the inner red spring. They also have this tinted version, but personally we're enjoying this small version. Basically it has spring and you keep compressing it, and once you'll reach a certain limit, it will click, telling you like enough, no need to compress more. So we're gonna, and you have your coffee puck damped and ready. So to wrap this video up, we're gonna start speaking about the points that we wish to see fixed maybe in future iterations, or we think that are important to highlight. Starting with the major point is that you have the motor here, but there's something called power adapter. And with Titus, they told us that they wanted the power adapter power brick to be outside the grinder to prevent heating if you decide to use it continuously, maybe in a coffee shop. Because if you decide to use it in a coffee shop, it has a hopper design with a slider to go single dose, 18 grams always in. So to prevent heat and everything, they put the power brick power adapter outside, and it's a massive power adapter. Let me show you. So this is the power adapter itself. I know it's huge, and with its very lengthy long cable, it's sufficient to fit it anywhere you want underneath your setup. I know some people, they don't care. For us, we felt like it's killing the vibe, the luxurious, the elegancy of the grinder, just knowing that you have this power supply. We just wished if they were able maybe to fit it from the bottom, from the back, to find a way to have smaller power supply. But yeah, this is something to note about. What we also wished for is that having another button with the option of when you push it, goes the grinder to the highest RPM. So whenever we do our grinding cycle, we turn it on and off a few times. So you have here like some maybe tenth of a 0.001 gram. But if you ramp up the RPM to the max, you saw some coffee came out. So there are some shards of coffee stuck here on top, maybe some small, tiny, minute particles. And when you have that highest RPM, you'll make sure that everything was finished. So reaching back to the back, playing with the knob from the RPM and the screen having it on the side. So depending on how it's sitting in your setup, but for us, it's always sitting to the front. So the screen, it's hard to notice. And if you have it this way, it will be easier to notice. Nonetheless, like just another button for the maximum RPM would be really welcomed. Considering that this is a fully customizable grinder, it would be interesting to see a new burr geometry in the future. Maybe something for the people like us who like super light roast, or to experiment sometimes around super light roast. Now, let's speak about whether this grinder should be for you or not. So to start with, if you're on a budget, feel free to check these videos that we made in the past. Best manual grinders that can grind for espresso under $100, best electric grinders under $350, and so on. So if you are considering this grinder or speaking about the budget, definitely consider these options. When it comes to this grinder, this is a custom made piece. It's a collector piece. It's a piece of art. You're not aiming just, I want quality coffee, that's why I'm buying this grinder, or I want reliable grinder, that's why I'm buying it. You have so many other options on the market that are also custom made, but within reasonable price tag, or it depends what's reasonable for you. Just the fact within a decade, only 2 people were able to customize around 100 piece of it. It's a collector piece. They customize everything. For us, we went with red speed panels, red speed screws, and nickel plating. Some customers, they have fully DLC grinders, diamond like carbon coating. Other grinders, they have that purple funnel. So you can literally make your own grinder like no other. And really, if I had to put a word of using this grinder, and I'm quote my friend Alex, the one who told us about this grinder, he said this word and it really ring always in my mind, that this grinder puts a smile on my face every day I head to my coffee setup, and it literally does that. Every day, whenever you go to coffee setup, having this piece of art, knowing that you're not just gonna look at it, you're gonna use it. So is it worth it? Well, some people love to have painting on the wall, just admiring it. Other might prefer to have jewelry. For instance, I remember customizing Mercedes-Benz, just daydreaming, and a different colored seatbelt was an extra $500 US. So when it comes to money, the logical approach, it's up to you. It's your hard-earned money. Don't let anyone be the judge for you. You deserve spoiling yourself if this is what you want to go for. And look, at the end, for us, we started with manual grinders, but it's your budget. You can decide what to save it for. We don't have a car, but we have the Titus grinder. And yeah, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Huge thanks to Coffee Accessories for sponsoring this video. Feel free to use our discount code and check their coffee tools. Thanks to Runton Coffee Roasters for being the second time visitor roaster of this video. Their coffee helped us in making our mind in regard to taste-wise with Titus grinder. Speaking of coffee, one last point. The grinder will get much better after 15 kilograms of seasoning. We found it settling in after 6 kilograms, but personally we went around 20 kilograms to be sure. And that's it. Take care. Bye. We're able to put the sour supply. It's gonna put a small on you.